Hey guys, Jen here. Welcome to Live with Jen B, episode 2. Today's topic, or today's umbrella category, is multi-passionate productivity. So Tuesdays I talk about multi-passionate productivity, and the reason is because I'm super multi-passionate. Most of the people who follow me are multi-passionate, and what that means is that you just have lots of different things that you like to do, but also that you have lots of different things that you're actually good at. So big difference there, from being somebody who just likes to do a lot of different things to actually being someone who's good at different things. So I tend to be, again, I'm multi-passionate, so I've got lots of different things that I love to do, but I also am really good at doing a lot of different things. So before I used to think that I had to pick one thing, that I had to say, this is the thing I'm going to be really good at and I'm going to do this forever and that's going to be it. And then every time I tried to do that, it just never worked. It just got to the point where I felt like, okay, I'm getting stressed out. I don't want to just do this. There's all these other things I want to do, and I just wasn't allowing myself to because I kept listening to other people's, guidance and advice on the fact that you should focus on one thing. I don't believe in that anymore. I honestly don't believe that you should focus on one thing, especially if you're multi-passionate, because all that's going to do is just make your creativity not as good because you're just sort of pushing down things you really want to be creating or putting out there. The other thing is that you'll get bored, and as a multi-passionate person, you just can't do one thing. It's impossible. I mean, it's literally impossible. So, and I don't say things are impossible usually because I don't believe that stuff is impossible, but honestly, I've never been able to figure out how to only do one thing. And I honestly don't think I could, because I just have that nature in me and that need to just do lots of different things. So for me, it just makes sense to allow myself to do all the stuff that I want to do. But that's why we're doing multi-passionate productivity, because while it's great to have lots of passions, it's great to, have lots of things you're good at and lots of things that you want to do, but you have to make sure that you have the capacity to handle all of it, because otherwise you'll find yourself getting resentful because you're not able to work on the stuff you really want to be working on, and you'll just get annoyed and stressed out because all these things you want to be doing are not happening. And so it's a balance. It really is. And so the thing I would say that's kind of important is that you have to figure out what matters to you. So you can't do everything. Unfortunately, you really just can't do everything. But you can make space and do things that you actually really care about and that really matter to you. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. So kind of going into this, and I like to do these episodes of this show as sort of mini workshops, so you actually have questions to answer and kind of just do them right along with the live stream, and that way you're actually getting some action steps that you can take right now, walk away from, and actually do something with. So if you're here and you're watching and you want to say hi, just say hi in the comments so that I know that you're here. I can see some people on, but I can't see who they are. So if you want to do that, that'd be awesome. Just say hi. So are you multi-passionate? I'm assuming if you're watching this that you are, because otherwise you wouldn't want to watch something about this. If you just want to do one thing, that's totally fine. These tips will still work for people who just want to do one thing, but I highly doubt you just want to do one thing. So, hi Heather, welcome. Glad to see you on here again. Okay, so when it comes to being productive as a multi-passionate person, it's really going to come down to what actually matters. And what that means is, what are the things you just can't live without? What are the things that you just can't see yourself not doing on a regular basis? Now, you might not be doing all of those things right now because maybe you just haven't figured out how to balance it all or how to have the time for it. But the thing here is to just get really clear on what are the things that matter. So the first question that I would say for you to brainstorm on or do some journaling on, and I'm going to set a timer for about 30 seconds or a minute so that you can actually do this right now on the live stream. But the question is just, what really matters to you? So Kimberly, hi, welcome. I'm definitely a multi-passionate person. Yes, exactly. And I feel like that is a asset. I feel like for so long we've been told as multi-passionate people that we're, distracted and that we have too much going on and we need to just focus and pick one thing. And I just don't believe in that anymore. I used to think that was how I had to do things. So I would just try to focus on one thing and then I would get distracted with this and this and this. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, you do have to figure out how to be a finisher. That is a huge important piece of being a productive person, is figuring out, okay, what do I need to do to actually finish something? But you don't have to just focus on one thing. So as long as you can make yourself a finisher and actually not just have 50 projects you're doing but not actually finishing, but you can actually get them done, is to know what really matters. And so that would be my first question for you right now, is just brainstorm a list. And like I said, I'm going to set a timer. But just brainstorm what really matters to you. So what, out of all the things you're passionate about, out of all the things you want to actually spend your time doing, and this doesn't have to be just writing stuff, it can be anything. So just some examples for me of stuff that I love to do that I think, I don't think I could survive without having in my day somehow is, number one, writing. Obviously, I have to write every single day. But I also want to write fiction and nonfiction. So I make time every day to write fiction. I make time to write nonfiction. This would be blog posts or my books that I work on. That's non-negotiable. Some other stuff that matters to me that I have to do every day is cook. So I have to cook every single day in some capacity. I don't have to cook every day, but I pretty much have to cook every day because I love cooking. I like to eat healthy. I like to eat home cooked, but I'm just very passionate about cooking. So for me, that's something that has to happen every day too. Some other stuff that I've got as this has to happen, it matters to me, is my blogging. So I blog every single day during the week, pretty much on the weekends, but not every weekend. But during the week, I blog 5 days at least. Sometimes I write 2 blog posts in a day, actually. So, but those are the things that matter. So those are my, multi-passionate things that I care about that I want to do. Now, some other stuff that I don't necessarily use as a project, but that I'm passionate about. So watching movies is a huge passion of mine. And this is not just because I like to just zone out and watch movies, but also because I like to study story structure. So I watch movies looking for the story structure and trying to break down the story structure. And so for that reason, I have to make time every single day, at least, if not every day, at least every other day or so. But I usually try to get it in once a day, is to just watch a movie. So I don't always just sit down and watch the movie. Sometimes I have it going in the background. So I'll turn it on for the dog. And then I'll be doing other stuff, but I've got the movie there and I'm listening to it and all of that. But that's something I'm super passionate about and I'm not willing to not do. So yeah, most of the time you'll hear people say, well, watching movies and watching TV is just anti-productivity. And, you're not actually doing anything that matters. And I definitely don't disagree with the fact that people do watch too much TV and too much movies. But I feel because I'm doing it with a purpose, I'm watching it for the purpose of studying story structure. And I'm also getting all my other stuff done too. So it's not like I'm just watching movies and not getting other stuff done. I'm getting other stuff done too. So for me, I feel it's okay to allow myself to indulge every day in that passion of watching movies, because it's not only making me a better storyteller, but it's also just fitting that side of me that just wants to watch movies, that loves movies. And eventually someday I want to write scripts for movies. So, that's just part of it. So these are the things that matter to me. And there's lots more things as well, but these are just some of the things that came to mind right now. So that's what I would say when I think about what matters to me, that's what I come up with. And so you have to do the same thing, because until you know what actually matters to you, you're not going to know what to focus on every day. So maybe you love to make crafts, but it's not something you feel you have to do every day. Then don't write it down, because here we're going to make a list of the things that matter to you that you have to do every day. Even if you're not currently doing it every day, but if you want to be. So again, I'm going to set a timer. Let's just do, I guess, a minute. I'll just set it for a minute. And just take some time to brainstorm, either on your computer, write it down, or write it on some paper right now. But just brainstorm what matters to you. What do you want to be doing every single day? Even if you're not doing it right now, but what do you want to be doing every day that matters to you? This doesn't have to just be writing related, but it could be. So 1 minute, go. Do some brainstorming. Got some comments. Let's see. Heather, schedule. Yes, absolutely. That is super important. And I'm actually going to talk about that in a second. Kimberly, so glad to hear you say this. And I try very hard to be a finisher. Yes, exactly. The multi-passionate thing is something that I just believe if you are a multi-passionate person, there's no way you're ever going to not do those things. You're never going to just shove it all to the side and focus on one thing. It's never going to happen. So you're better off embracing it and try to find a way to actually focus on what matters than you are to try to push it away and continue to just say, oh, I have to focus on one thing, because you totally don't. Doing more things means being okay with not always getting things done as quickly as others because you're spreading your time. Yeah, exactly. And I think, again, comes down to what matters to you. So a few more seconds, just wrap up where you're brainstorming. And again, you can come back to this. Oops. You can come back to it. I just want to do it for a minute because I don't want you to have to sit here and stare at me while you brainstorm for 20 minutes. So I'm just going to do it for a minute, but you can always come back to this, either watch the live stream again or just go back to the exercise and continue writing out what matters to you. Because honestly, you have to know what matters in order to start making time for it. So that's the first thing when it comes to being a multi-passionate productivity type person, is knowing what matters. So again, you may have things that you're interested in or things you want to do, but you don't care if you don't do it every day. So like, for example, I want to learn how to play guitar. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but it's not something that I spend a lot of time on. So honestly, like if I get one day a week where I go up to my husband's band room and like play guitar, that's a miracle. Because it's not something I prioritize. But if it was, I would make time for it every day. So I have some, and you probably have this exact same thing. You probably have some, hobbies or things you're interested in, but you don't care that you don't do them all the time, or you don't care that it's not part of your day-to-day life. Like you enjoy doing them on occasions. Like for example, I like to go kayaking. It's not something that I do a lot, but it's something I enjoy. So I definitely make time for it when the time comes, when the summer's here, because where I live right now, you can't kayak unless it's summer. But the point is that, that's something I like and that I'm passionate about, but I'm not necessarily going to do it all the time. So it's all balance. It's figuring out what actually matters to you that you definitely want to be doing on a daily basis. So that's your first thing. If you're just joining the live stream, welcome, say hi so that I know you're here. And just that's your first brainstorming thing, if you haven't done it yet, is to just make a list of what actually matters to you that you want to be doing every single day. Okay, so the second thing, and I've got some notes here, and I have bought this light because like the room that I live stream in is so freaking dark for some reason. So I got this crazy light that's like, I'll show it to you. It's like this like super bright thing, and you basically just put it over your camera on your phone and it helps to brighten you up. But unfortunately, it also blinds you because it's so bright. It's like having a flash just sitting there. So I'm trying to read my notes and I'm getting like those weird light things, which is funny. Okay, so the second thing is what are you prioritizing right now that you shouldn't be, or that you should stop prioritizing, that you should sort of push off. So it's really important to look at this stuff, because I think a lot of the times we don't realize that we have habits that we've created subconsciously by just doing something every single day, even though we don't really want to be doing it every day, but we do it every day because we're just in that place where like, you've just been doing it for so long that it's almost like a habit that you didn't mean to create, but it just happened. So like, for example, for me, I used to eat a shitload of sugar every single day. That was like at the end of the day, I have to have something sweet. I have to have sugar. And that was a habit that I created over my entire life of just buying into the fact that after you have dinner, you're supposed to have dessert. You're supposed to eat something that's sweet later in the day. So I had to break that habit because that was something I was basically prioritizing. So every single night I was finding time to eat my sugary dessert or my sugary treat. So I had to break that because I was realizing that that is something that does not matter to me. I do not want to eat like that anymore. So that was something I had to, again, come to terms with, accept. Again, this is not about judgment. So you're not trying to say, oh, well, I've been making time for this stuff that I shouldn't be. No, it's not about that, because we're not here to judge ourselves. We're not here to make ourselves guilty about it, because it doesn't matter. What happened before is over, and that's all that matters, is that you can start now and do something different. So, but first you have to get clear on what you're doing that you don't want to be or that you shouldn't be. So again, I'm going to set the timer for a minute, and I just want you to brainstorm on what are you currently prioritizing right now that you shouldn't be, or that you don't want to be prioritizing anymore. So this might be something you're making time for, but you're like, honestly, I'm sick of this. I don't want to do this anymore. And you're just going to give it up. Maybe it's watching TV. So maybe you watch 5 hours of TV a night and you're realizing that that means you're prioritizing watching TV. So maybe you need to see that and then cut back to an hour a day or 2 hours a day if you're doing 5. So again, clarity will bring you the focus that you need to actually make changes. So I'm going to set the timer for a minute. And again, you're just brainstorming on what you're prioritizing right now that you don't want to be or that you shouldn't be. Go. I'll try to catch up with some comments. Let's see. Flossie, hi, how are you? Glad to have you stop by the live stream. I'm trying to pare down and commit to a few major things. Writing, health mainly. My tendency is all or nothing and make everything perfect. Yeah. Oh, these are topics I'm going to go into a whole lot over the next few weeks as we do these videos. But yeah, I mean, I think it happens to be something very common with multi-passionate people, is that we have a tendency to believe it has to be all or nothing. And we also have this perfection quality to us where we feel like if it's not perfect, if it can't be perfect, then I shouldn't do it. Not really a great thing, because it stops us a lot of times. I like your idea of focusing or committing to one or two things. I think, again, with the multi-passionate thing, it's going to come down to how much can you realistically balance and still feel like you're doing the stuff that matters to you. Because for a long time, I was doing a lot of stuff like in my writing business that really wasn't helping. It wasn't getting me where I wanted to go. That's just the timer there. So continue brainstorming if you want for a second, and then I'm going to give you another one to go on. But yeah, I think for a long time I was just not seeing that I was doing a lot of stuff every day that really wasn't moving the needle to get me where I wanted to go. It was just sort of, I was like running on a treadmill basically. And so I wanted to, yeah, Facebook. Exactly. Facebook is such a time suck. That's something that I had to come to terms with because I used to get up in the morning and the first thing I would do is check email, check Facebook. And then I realized that by doing that, I was actually making myself reactive to other people's shit. So like, how my day was going to go was going to be based on what emails showed up, who was posting on Facebook and what they were posting. And then I realized like, I don't want my day and the tone of my day to be set by that anymore. So I stopped, and I honestly now don't even look at Facebook or emails until after 1 p.m. when I'm finished doing all my stuff in the morning. That is my first things first stuff. So made a huge difference to start weeding out. So again, that would be one of the habits or one of the things I was prioritizing that I shouldn't have been. So I was prioritizing waking up in the morning, and instead of doing the stuff I knew I should be doing or that I wanted to be doing, I was checking Facebook, I was checking emails, and then that was just causing me to get reactive to stuff, and then I wasn't actually doing the stuff that matters. So now, you know what matters to you now. You know where you are currently as far as like just getting a baseline. Where are you prioritizing stuff right now that you shouldn't be? What do you want to be prioritizing that you're not? So if you haven't already done that, I would highly recommend going back to Brainstorm on that because it's going to make a huge difference in you just being able to handle all the stuff that you want to have in your life. Okay, so then the next thing is, and this is the thing that it took me a while to learn, but it's been life-changing. And this is something that I used to actually deal with a lot. So, and maybe you've had this experience too. So maybe you realize like you find yourself being resentful, right? So all of a sudden it's like you feel like, man, I'm just angry. I don't want to do the stuff that I've got to do today. And like, you just feel resentful. You feel resentful about people inviting you to go places or people bothering you. Like I used to get super resentful about like social activities, like people wanting me to go out and do stuff. Cause I'd be like, I don't want to go out right now. I have writing to do. And like, I'd get frustrated. And then I realized that feeling of resentment and like I'm angry and frustrated and annoyed actually was just coming from the fact that I wasn't putting first things first and I wasn't doing what mattered every day. So once I committed to doing what mattered every day, so for me, the things that matter that I have to do every day is I have to do my mindset work. So I do journaling in the morning, I do mindset work, I do visualization exercises. That has to be done every single day. Then I have my blog post. So I write a blog post every single day. I try to get it in the morning. Most of the time I do. Once in a great while, I might take a little bit longer if it's a post that's going to take more work or whatever, but that's a must do every day. Work on my fiction. So whether that's a novel, whether it's a screenplay, or maybe nonfiction. So sometimes if I'm working on like a book that I want to write, a nonfiction book, then that will be something I prioritize first thing in the morning. That is a non-negotiable. So mindset work, my blog post, working on my fiction, or working on my current book project. And then I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that are, I would say must-dos every day. So I track my income every day. I track my book sales every day. And I do this specifically for the reason of what you focus on expands. So I want to expand my book sales. I want to expand my income, obviously. And so I make sure to prioritize making time for that stuff. And so that's my, non-negotiable first things first activities that I do. The other one is fitness. So I'm not 100% consistent on this yet because I spent most of my life not exercising. But I'm getting to a point now where I'm starting to incorporate at least 15 minutes a day of some kind of movement, whether it's walking the dog or whatever. But that's a part of my must-do priorities first thing in the morning because those are the things that matter to me. And so I set aside in the morning now. I don't do anything other than my morning stuff until 1 p.m. Eastern. Now at 1 p.m., then I'll answer emails, I'll check Facebook, I'll do whatever else I have to do, I'll do calls with my clients. But before that, I'm only focusing on my stuff that matters and getting it done first things first. So that's the biggest takeaway that I hope you can get from this today. And as you kind of go out there and start to implement this stuff, you'll start to see exactly what I'm talking about, which is if you find yourself resentful, if you find yourself angry, frustrated, annoyed, it's probably because you're not doing what matters every day. And so you're getting frustrated. So like for a long time, I thought I hated coaching. This is crazy. I thought I hated coaching because I would get so frustrated when I would have to talk to people on the phone. But then what I realized was I didn't hate coaching. I just hated that I was helping people with their stories and I wasn't working on my own. So I had to take, responsibility for that and say, okay, I'm going to work on my stories every single day now. And that's going to be a non-negotiable that I do every single day. And the crazy part is when I actually do these things, so when I write my blog post, when I write my book stuff, I don't have those resentful feelings anymore. And I actually get excited about talking to people and helping them with their stories because I'm no longer putting my own stuff aside for helping other people, and that's the whole thing is I think so often people who are multi-passionate and who are, really just giving people, we are always trying to help other people and we always want to just make other people's lives better, which is great, but we also have to take care of ourselves because if we don't, then we're just basically screwing ourselves over because we're going to continue feeling that resentment and that anger. So I literally almost trashed my coaching business one time because I just was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I don't want to coach people. But that's not what it was. It was that I wasn't doing my writing and I wasn't putting the things that mattered to me first. And so I was getting resentful and I was getting angry. But once I started doing that, it just went away. And all of a sudden I loved coaching again. So I think that, if you're not doing first things first and if you're not prioritizing what actually matters to you, then that's going to be the reason why all of a sudden you feel these feelings. And of course they build. So if you continue doing this every single day, by the time, 2-3 weeks comes and you've been ignoring your writing or ignoring the things you actually care about, then you're just going to have this built up resentment and anger, and it's just going to spill over into your life and just get ridiculous. So the best way to resolve it and to increase your productivity is to do what matters and to do it first if you can. I mean, I would say first things first, no matter what, but sometimes you can't, maybe you have a job, you have to commute, you can't do it first things first, but maybe you can do it first thing as soon as you can. So that might be lunchtime. It might be as soon as you get home from work. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you get what matters done every day. So what matters is going to be different to all of us. We all have different things that we care about that we, want to have in our lives. And so again, it's all going to be about you and what you want. But if you're not putting that stuff first, if you're not doing what matters every day, you're going to start feeling this resentment and this lack of productivity. And then what's going to happen is that you start convincing yourself that your stuff doesn't matter anymore. I don't need to write. It's not a big deal. I'm never going to do it. It's never going to happen. And it just becomes this downward spiral. Don't do that to yourself. You are better than that. So just by, again, taking some time to figure out what matters to you and then doing it every day, no matter what. Now, this doesn't mean that I spend, 5 hours a day doing the stuff that matters to me. I actually have a 3-hour window in the morning, sometimes 4 hours, depends on what time I get up in the morning. But I have a window of time where I say, this is the time where I'm going to do my blog post. I'm going to write my book. I'm going to do my mindset work. I'm going to, do my fitness, whatever I have going on. That's the time it's going to happen. It's going to happen during this 3-hour block in the morning that I've set aside. And that's it. So you have to figure out for you, what's going to be your block of time or what's going to be the time for you to actually get your priorities and your must-dos done every day. But once you figure that out and you actually start doing it, I swear to God, everything else gets easier. I swear some days I feel like, man, lunchtime came and I'm just super excited. I've gotten so much stuff done. I'm feeling insanely productive. And I haven't even started my work day yet. I literally haven't even started my work day and I'm feeling like I've gotten everything done that I needed to. So now anything else I get done feels like a bonus, which is awesome. And so by prioritizing and by, making whatever matters to you something you do consistently every single day, first things first, you're going to actually be able to handle more projects, more of the stuff you actually care about. So this is super important for someone who's multi-passionate because if you don't make the time for your stuff, you don't make the time for the things that matter to you, you're going to just get resentful. You're going to just get to this place where you just feel like you're never going to get anything done. You don't care about it anymore. And I don't want to see you do that because I just know from experience that is a product, those feelings and that attitude and all that is just a product of not doing what matters every day. And that's it. So again, just to kind of go back through the questions that I gave for anyone who's just hopping on, I see some people have just hopped on. The first thing that we did was wrote down what really matters to you, and or what you want to make time for every day that you're not currently. So that's your first thing. And your second thing is to actually write down what you're prioritizing currently that you shouldn't be, or that doesn't really matter as much to you. And then the third thing I would say, and I'm not going to set a timer for this, but I would just say something you could share in the comments if you wanted to just sort of keep yourself accountable is what do you want to do? Let's say one thing you're going to take away from this live stream and go do right now. So maybe that's incorporating some new habits into your day. Maybe that's taking 5 to 10 minutes a day for whatever activity you care about. Because the whole thing, again, it's not about the amount of time. So I think, and this was something that Flossie had mentioned, that she says, all or nothing, which I think a lot of us struggle with, is thinking, well, if I don't have an hour for this, then I shouldn't do it. Or if I don't have whatever, then I shouldn't do it. Most of my stuff gets done in such short blocks of time. I write my blog post usually within 15, 20 minutes, sometimes a little more. I spend about 15 to 30 minutes on my fiction a day. If I have a nonfiction book, same thing, 15 to 30 minutes a day. And that's it. It doesn't seem like a lot. But the thing you'll notice is that 30 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day over the course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, it starts building on itself. And so where before you weren't getting anything done that you wanted to and you were feeling resentful and angry and annoyed, well, now you're actually being productive. You're actually being able to have all of the passions that you're excited about in your life on a daily basis, and you're giving space for them. That doesn't mean the space is going to be, an hour at a time, because you are probably not going to have that kind of time. If you do, that's great. That's awesome. But if you do, you probably wouldn't be listening to this live stream trying to figure out how to be productive when you've got multi-passions. So I would say that most likely you're needing to just allow yourself to accept the fact that if you are going to be multi-passionate, you will have to jump from project to project, and that it's totally okay as long as you sort of get it in a place where it's like you're not trying to jump from two different. So like for me, I try to keep all my creative stuff as one block. So it's like I do my mindset work, and then right after that, I write my blog post, I work on my books. Those are creative things. And then after that, I'll do things like check my income, check my book sales, because that's more of like the left side of your brain where you're looking at numbers and things like that. So I wouldn't want to write my blog post and then check my numbers and then jump back into fiction, because that's sort of moving things to different like brain sides where you're better off doing all the creative stuff together and then doing all the non-creative stuff together. So, if you've got tasks or things you're trying to do that, fall into that category, that would be the best way to do it, is to not break it apart so that you're forcing yourself to change hats too much. But really just building in space for all of the stuff. So if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 things you're passionate about that you want to do every day, you have an hour of time available. Fine. You do 15 minutes on each thing. You do 10 minutes on each thing. Like that sounds crazy, but you'll still see progress. It's a little at a time, but you will still see progress. And at the end of the day, spending an hour and doing 15 minutes on each thing is going to benefit you much more than if you just never do it because you think, I don't know how to keep all this stuff going. I don't know how to do it all. So, that would be the best way. I got a bunch of comments. Let me just go back and check them. Let's see. Palasi says, yes, lack of clarity of what moves me forward. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to be really clear on the things you care about and what actually matters, and also what actually makes progress for you. Because a lot of times, like checking Facebook, doesn't really make progress for you, but it's something you do every day, most likely. So that's why I've set the time, like I don't do it in the morning. That's my creative time. And then in the afternoon, I'll check Facebook, but I'm only checking it now, like probably 2 or 3 times a day. Whereas before, I was checking it like a ton. And now I'm not doing that because I'm actually setting time aside. And even sometimes I set a timer. So I've got my timer. I'll set it for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and say, okay, until the timer goes off, I'm going to check Facebook and then I'm done. And that's it. So I sort of, put it into a block of time, because 15 minutes is enough to check Facebook. You don't have to be on Facebook for too long. If you're on longer than that, you just get pulled into all this stuff that's happening. And don't do that to yourself. Give yourself a timer. I swear using a timer has like changed my writing life completely. Heather, it's okay to go through trial and error period to figure out your own groove and flow. It took me a year. Yeah, exactly. I am just now, so for the last couple of months, I've been very consistent. I've been doing my blog every single day. I've been doing first things first every single day. And this was something that I'd done previously, but then I fell off because, you get on track and all of a sudden you sabotage yourself. So I did that and then I never got back to it. So finally this year I've decided I'm done. Like I'm done with that shit. I'm actually going to do what matters. I'm going to do it first things first every single day, no matter what. And if I don't have a ton of time available, I just squeeze it all into whatever time I do have. So sometimes that means I'm only working on stuff for 10 or 15 minutes, but at least I'm getting it done every day. So to me, it's like I would rather review a scene in my novel or work on, the structure of the scene or something. Even if that doesn't feel like a lot of progress, it's still one more scene done that I didn't have done the day before, and one more scene done that wouldn't have gotten done at all if I wasn't prioritizing that time. So that's how I look at it. It's a balancing act. When you're multi-passionate, it's a balancing act. It has to be, because otherwise you'll never get to incorporate all the stuff you care about. And as a multi-passionate person, that doesn't fly. You have to incorporate the stuff that you care about. So when I get angry, guilt pops up right away. Yeah, exactly. And usually for me, like that's tied to the fact that I haven't been doing what matters. So when I do what matters, I don't have those feelings anymore, and it's awesome. And also the mindset work that I do in the morning actually lasts longer throughout my day when I have done the first things first stuff, because those old feelings and beliefs aren't coming up anymore because I've already done what matters for the day. Love that first thing in the morning tactic. It helps. Yes, it totally does. I do mine before bed so I don't sit up all night thinking about it. Me and my mornings are not friends. That's perfect. Again, you don't have to do it in the morning. That was just an example. So when I had a day job and I was working in corporate America, like I rode a park and ride bus. So I would park at a parking lot and I would take a bus downtown so that I could be in the carpool lane and it would be faster to get down there, less traffic, all that stuff. So I used to write my fiction on the bus in the morning, and then I would also work on my blog post on my lunch break. And then when I got home, I would have, 2 to 3 hours a night where I would just work on whatever stuff I had going on in my writing business, and of course cooking and things like that. And so I was sort of breaking up the time. But as long as the things that matter are getting done every day, it doesn't matter when you do them. So like today, I had a longer blog post that I wanted to write, and so I'm not finished yet because I had a bunch of calls I had to do. So I actually had to stop, do the calls because those were scheduled, and now back tonight I will finish the blog post and I'll publish it and all of that. So it's like, as long as it gets done every day, I'm happy. Like I try for the morning because that's the routine I'm creating. But honestly, if it doesn't happen, I don't give myself a hard time about it anymore. I just make sure that by the time I go to bed, it's gotten done. So sometimes that means I have to not do other things. Like I don't do my dishes sometimes. Sometimes I don't go out and do social stuff. So my husband and them want to, our friends want to go out. And I just say, sorry guys, I'm staying home tonight. I do this on Saturdays. Sometimes I do it on Friday nights. This is a discipline that I have because I care more about my projects than I do about going out and being social. That's the introvert in me, I guess. But yeah. All right. So what are you going to do now? So sort of just wrap up this live stream. And if anyone has any questions or anything else you want to add, please feel free to put them in the comments now. But the thing I'm going to say for you to take away right now, and you can feel free to share in the comments if you want, is what is one thing you are going to start to do every single day that matters to you that you're going to start making time for? So share that in the comments if you want to. Jaggy Sue says, my blog post for the day. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just think about this. And this is the way I try to look at it is if I just took this one thing that mattered to me, working on my blog post, and I did it every single day for a whole year. Imagine where you would be a year from now. Like you have 365 new blog posts. You've probably gotten a lot more followers because you're creating so much more content. And so people are actually paying attention and you've got stuff going on. And it's like, just imagine that. So I'm imagining myself now going, okay, I've been prioritizing what matters. I've been doing it first things first in the morning. And I'm just imagining myself a year from now where I'm going to be, having written that many blog posts, having worked on my novel every single day or whatever book I have going on. It's like, I can already see that my future is going to be a million times better, productivity wise than it is right now because I wasn't doing that stuff up to this point and now I am. So, that's definitely the biggest thing I would say from all of this is just do what matters, do it first thing in the day if you can, but at least make sure everything that matters gets done every day. And then you'll start to see just different results. You'll start to feel different. I have felt insanely creative the last few months. I mean, insanely creative. And especially the last 2 months as I've been doing this, what matters, first things first thing, like I've just been on fire, like literally creating like crazy. Lots of blog posts. I mean, I probably did like 35 new blog posts over the last month and a half. And it's crazy. But like at the same time, I'm a writer. That's what I should be doing, So I'm finally doing it. And it feels great. And now I also feel like not resentful about all the other stuff I have going on. So it's like, yeah, today I did have calls going on. So I had to take a break from my blog post. But I'd already worked on my novel. I'd already done I'd walked my dog. So that was my fitness for the day. I'd already done my mindset work. So even though I had to stop, I still felt like I'm good. I'm not feeling resentful at all because I'm still doing what matters. And I know the blog post will get finished before the end of the day. So that is what I would say about that. Kimberly, so doing what matters means doing what you should do. Like exercising matters, but I hate it. No. So it's not about doing what matters that you think you should be doing. This is not about shoulding yourself. It's about doing what actually matters to you. So if fitness doesn't matter to you, don't do it. I mean, again, you have to think about the consequence of not doing it. So obviously, if you don't exercise, then you're going to not be as comfortable in your body. You're not going to have as much energy. So that's something you have to weigh the benefit of. So is it worth me building in time for this? But if it's not, it's not. Like there are some things I don't care about. Like dishes do not bother me anymore. I used to hate having dishes in my sink. Now I don't care. So it's like, if I'm going to decide what actually matters, am I going to do my writing or am I going to clean my kitchen? Well, I'm going to choose my writing anytime now because the dishes don't matter to me. So like if having a clean house matters to you, then that's something you're going to have to set some, time aside for every day or get somebody to do it for you. So it's really a matter of what matters to you and not what matters that people say you should do. Cause like If you talk to my mom, she'll tell you that doing dishes matters and cleaning your house matters, but it doesn't matter to me. And that's the difference, is that it matters to her, so that's what she spends time on. I don't spend time on that stuff because I don't care. So usually when I pick my clothes out in the morning, if I'm wearing like pajamas and stuff, they're coming from my couch because I've done laundry. They've moved from the washer and dryer to the couch and I haven't put them away yet. So I'm literally going out to my couch to pull my clothes, but I don't care because it doesn't matter to me that my house is that clean. It's not dirty, but it's just messy. I've got stuff everywhere, but I don't care because what actually matters to me gets done every day. And so if I have time at the end of the night to fold some clothes, then I'll do it. But I'm not going to prioritize that or make that matter just because someone else says that it should. So the exercise question, Kimberly, I would say, is really going to come down to you. Does it matter? Because if it doesn't, then don't make time for it. I mean, that's the whole thing. For a long time, exercise did not matter to me. I did not care. I was totally fine not exercising every day. Now I'm to a point where I care about it. It actually matters to me because I have body goals that I want to achieve and I can't achieve them by not exercising. So it's just different. But back in my 20s, I didn't care about that stuff. It was like, I'll eat whatever I want. My body doesn't change, etc. But now I'm in my 30s. It's not that my body still doesn't change that much, but I'm getting to that point where I feel like I'm not healthy like I used to be, or I'm not as healthy as I could be. So now I'm making health matter to me where it never really did before. So your things that matter to you may change. I mean, once in a while, you'll find like, I've been doing this thing for a while, but I don't honestly care about it anymore. Like, for a long time, maybe you're watching movies and stuff, but then you're like, I don't really want to do that anymore. I don't want to make time for it. So then don't. It's all about what matters and allow yourself to just be fluid with it. So for sure. Okay, so Heather says, education, giving, or receiving? You're a beast just saying, haha. I can be, yeah. I guess I'm just super motivated, but honestly, I desire a dream life and I know exactly what it looks like and I refuse to not achieve it. So, my mantra is dream life or bust because that's just how I feel. Like I'm either going to get there or I'm going to die trying, and that there's no other way around it. I have no plan B. I have no backup. I have no, if this doesn't work out, I'll go do this. No, there is none of that. It's just, this is what I want, and whatever I have to do to get it, I'm going to do. So, it is going to come down to consistency, being, actually getting the stuff that matters done every day. But when you do that, the rest just sort of unfolds naturally, which is kind of cool. All right, Flossie says, first rough draft of novel is most gut-wrenching for me. I am now doing that at least 15 minutes every day. Awesome. Yeah, again, it's just a little bit of progress is going to make you feel better than not doing anything. So you look back and go, man, I wasted this whole month, and I could have been working on my story, and I wasn't. But if you just spend 15 minutes a day on it, all of a sudden it's like, man, 15 minutes a day times 30 days really starts to add up. And suddenly you see that you've gotten through. So like just by doing that, for me, 15 to 20 minutes a day on my novel this whole month, I've pretty much gotten myself a quarter of the way through my revision. And I'm like, sweet, this is awesome. Because about a month ago, I hadn't even done any of it. So, I'd done like one or two things, but I hadn't done that much of it. So I'm like, yeah, just the small block of time allowed me to do the stuff that actually matters. And now I have time for other things like learning how to play guitar or going out and being social, because the stuff that I actually care about is getting done earlier in my day. So anything else that doesn't get done, I don't feel guilty about it. I don't worry about it because I know I can do it tomorrow. The other thing is, and this is a tip that I got from one of my mentors, she has what she calls hustle time. So 90 minutes a day, usually at the end of the day, she has hustle time where she'll actually just burn through her list of things she has to do, things that she maybe doesn't care that much about, but are just things she has to do, like, maybe like following up on emails or cleaning out her inbox or, that kind of thing. So she just sets time aside every night for that. And what ends up happening is that stuff gets done just in that quick period of time. And then all the stuff that actually mattered to her got done earlier in the day. Chaggy Sue, I grabbed an idea for a book about a month ago. I would write from maybe 15 minutes to an hour for weeks. I recently looked at my word count and I actually have 84K and I'm not done yet. Yes, exactly. I'm liking that comment. Awesome. And that is exactly the point of 15, 20 minutes a day can actually build up. And if you think about it, if you spent 15 or 30 minutes a day every single day for a whole year, think about how many hours you would have, hundreds of hours working on this project. You probably wouldn't even need that many hours. You would probably be done in half that time and then be able to do other stuff that you actually want to be doing. So again, being a multi-passionate person is not an easy thing. It's something that you have to learn how to have discipline around, how to have balance, because otherwise you'll never actually get to do the things you care about. And you'll just end up spending your time shitting yourself and doing things that other people say matters. But it's all about what matters to you. So again, just to sort of recap for anyone who just hopped on and for anyone who wants to do this exercise after the live stream, the 2 questions that I would say for you to think about right now, the first one is what really matters to you. Not what other people say matters, not what you think should matter, but what actually matters to you. That's the first thing. Write it down. Or if it's something that matters but you're not doing it, but you want to be, write that down too. The second thing is that what are you doing right now, or what are you prioritizing right now that you shouldn't be, or that you don't really care about? So, and again, this is like I was prioritizing Facebook. That's not something I actually care about. It's not something I need to spend time prioritizing. That's something to do in the little blips of time you have in between other stuff. It's not something to actually create separate time for, unless you care that much about it. Some people might, and then in that case, you absolutely make time for it. So like these live streams, I've been wanting to do this live stream show for a while. I've been sort of psyching myself out about it because it's like live and it's scary to be live. But I made myself feel more comfortable about it by creating an actual show title, by coming up with specific topics for each day. So that way I feel like, okay, this feels like a real thing that I'm going to show up and do now. And so this is something I am prioritizing every day because it's something that I want to be doing. And so again, it's going to change. You're multi-passionate. The things you care about now might change in a couple of weeks. For me, like a lot of times I might have 2 or 3 things I'm doing for a long time. So like I was playing guitar for like 2 or 3 months a couple of years ago, and then I stopped because it was like, I'm kind of over it for a little while. But then I want to pick it back up. So I feel like multi-passionate people, that's kind of what we do. We have our set like 2 or 3 things that we want to do every day that we couldn't see ourselves not doing. And then we have all these other activities that we enjoy and we just do whenever we feel like it or when we feel called to do it, but we don't have to make it a priority every day. So, and that's also the exciting thing about being multi-passionate, I feel like, because when you are multi-passionate, you have lots of different things you do. So you're never bored. You always have ideas. You always have stuff going on. And I honestly don't think I could do one thing because I feel like I would just be sitting around like twiddling my thumbs. Like, what the hell am I doing today, you know? And then just getting caught up in like watching TV or wasting time on stuff that doesn't really matter. So I'm actually excited about my multi-passionate side because I feel like that's actually helped me to manage all the things that I do and then to actually make time for it all and to just, you know, have that in my life, because for a long time I told myself I had to focus on one thing and it could only be one thing. It just never worked. And so now I've given that up completely. All right, so your last thing, again, is to just come up with one specific thing that you're going to do every day that you're going to start prioritizing that matters to you, that actually matters to you, and you're going to do it every day. Share it in the comments if you want to. I'm going to wrap up this live stream right now. Getting some more comments. Hang on a second. Let's see. Flossie says, editing and revision are much easier to work on, and I do those at night, but the first draft of a novel is what I tend to put off. I need to do that early in the day. That's great. I mean, the thing is, as you start doing this stuff, you'll start to recognize that. Oh, I'm better working on this stuff first thing in the morning. Oh, I'm better working on this stuff at night. And that's kind of what I've come to. The reason I used to put my novel off all the time was because my most creative time is actually in the morning. And I didn't know that. So now that I started working on it in the morning, I feel like, yeah, this is great because I get it done every day. And then I have the rest of my day. I literally just feel like, man, I have all day to do all this other stuff. And I have plenty of time for everything. Where before, when I wasn't doing that stuff, I would always feel like I was time crunched. Like I didn't have enough time for what I wanted to do. The day just wasn't long enough. But now I don't feel that way because what matters gets done first. So anything else is a bonus. And that's just how I look at it. So glad you're doing live streams. Love your live streams. Don't thank you. I appreciate that. If you enjoy this live stream, feel free to share it. Feel free to tell your friends. I'm doing these live streams 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I've got 5 different topics that I talk about, and of course other topics in those topics, but 5 main topics. I did one yesterday on pro writer mindset, so be sure to check that out. And if you are ready to amp up your productivity and get yourself where you actually finish what you started, and if you've started a novel draft, if you've started a book draft, if you've started a revision and haven't finished yet, then be sure to check out my upcoming workshop that starts on April 1st. It's called Finish Your Damn Novel. And it is 30 days of productivity, accountability, inspiration, motivation, and getting writing done so that you can finish the draft that you've started or finish the revision that you started and actually get yourself to that point where you can move to the next step. I will be revising my novel during that 30-day period. My goal is to have it in the hands of my editor and my beta readers by May 1st. I would love for you to join me in this. There's a bunch of writers who are already in the workshop or getting ready to go. And because it's happening, the first day is the Saturday, I'm actually doing a super special kickoff weekend that's going to have live streams in our private Facebook group, all about different things to help you set yourself up for success in this workshop. So if you want to learn more about this, you can go to jenniferblanchard.net/finishyourdamnnovel, and I will catch you next time.